Welcome back to Trades and Gains, everybody. It's your favorite host, Max Pitts, where we don't do fluff, we do flow. If you missed the market today, don't worry. We've got the whole thing wrapped up in our spicy outlook that'll make you sound smarter than half the FinTwit bros out there. Let's dive into what actually moved the markets, the whales making noise, and what you need to be watching this week. So kicking things off with our market snapshot like we always do, the S&P 500 just barely closed above flatline with a 0.09% gain, inching closer to all-time highs, closing at 6,500. We had the NASDAQ inch up about 0.3%, and this was from tech floats on Tesla and trade optimism out of China. Now, we also had the Dow Jones come in flat, finally taking a breather that those senior citizens very much need. But let's be clear here. This wasn't strength. It wasn't hopium. Smiles at US-China trade talks in London and robo-taxi teas from Elon were enough to keep things green. But one bad CPI print this week, and it could absolutely nuke everything. Now, speaking of US-China, let's talk about some headlines that actually matter and moved the markets today. Day one equals constructive tone, aka nothing happened but nobody yelled. That's enough to keep the algos buying, but let's not pretend Xi and Biden, or Trump in this case, are fist bumping. This is theater strictly to keep things calm. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called it a good meeting. That was enough, again, to keep the buyers in the game. Another round of talks is set for tomorrow. Just don't expect any miracles. We also saw Tesla bounce back. After Trump versus Musk slap fest shaved $100 billion off Tesla's market cap, the stock clawed back 4.5% on hopes that robotaxi testing in Austin might bring some juice back. Baird and Argus both downgraded, though. The political risk is very much real here. And we also had Apple's liquid glass flop. Apple did a soft launch of a UI redesign at WWDC. No new hardware, no AI showstopper, and the stock slipped 1.2% as a result. The market's telling Apple, do better. And we also saw Bitcoin blast past 108,000. Crypto's back. Bitcoin flies, Coin, Mr., and Mara all caught a bid, and Circle tacked on a 15% post-IPO. It's risk on for now, folks. So keep those tight stops running and keep those positions flowing. Now let's talk about some options flow from today as well. NVDA, we saw 54 million in flow. 42 million of that was in calls. The biggest block was 14.95 million for June 2026 142 calls. That's size. Post-split enthusiasm or a big boy directional bet. Either way, eyes are on the semis for this one. Meta, we saw 800 million in dark pool prints, barely a peep in public. Three identical $268.6 million trades at the $694.06 level. You don't drop nearly a bill unless you know something. This is stealth accumulation. We also saw GLD, a $13.2 million call sweep. This is a fear hedge. Big boy is quietly betting on gold popping. Is there a CPI shock that is incoming that we're unaware of right now? And Microsoft, we saw a $2.5 million block for March 26th of 2026 for 20 calls. Quite long dated, same day as the meta flow. Is this a sector rotation that we're witnessing in real time? That is something for us to figure out down the line. QQQ and SPY saw 3.47 million and 299 million in big ETF flows from dark pools to options. Macro tools are in motion. The big boys are hedging or they're just straight up repositioning. Now, what are some things that we're going to be watching for the rest of this week? First thing, sentiment watch. Wall Street got bold. Morgan Stanley and Goldman are getting louder with their bullish calls. Morgan Stanley's Mike Wilson says the April correction is done and dusted, and the targets for the S&P 500, 6,500. And there's some risk that still remains. Tariffs, inflation, and still a hawkish Fed, but the market is pricing in strength, and VIX keeps on drifting lower and lower. Now, what are we going to watch the rest of this week, folks? We have Wednesday, a CPI drop. Core CPI year over year is expected at 2.9%. If this misses hot, the Fed is going to get hawkish. If soft, the rally is going to continue. This is the biggest catalyst of the week. Thursday, we have PPI. Expected at plus 3.1% year over year core, not as watched, but a beat here will reinforce inflation worries. Friday, we have University of Michigan sentiment. The estimate is 52. The vibes report, if this tanks, retail is losing faith. Now, let's go ahead and wrap all this up. The market is floating on foam, folks, not fundamentals at this point. Hope is high, volatility is low, and the options flow says smart money is placing big directional bets. If CPI goes sideways, prepare for impact. That's your weekly heat map from Trades and Gains for the day. When we do these daily, by the way, and surprise, but I'm going to be doing this full time now, so expect a lot more videos and a lot more of this face coming at you, baby. Anyways, hit that like, drop your CPI predictions below, and stay tuned for our post CPI breakdown this Wednesday during our live market recap podcast / live stream with Eric from Investor Central Club, where I'm also a lead analyst for. So hello, say hi to your new Investor Central Club lead data flow analyst. Mwah. And that's why I will be going full time into being an analyst for the stock market, folks. Anyways, subscribe for more no fluff market flow intel. And I will see you guys tomorrow for our midday market morning meeting. Love you. Have a great night. Stay safe.